Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Good morning. Chasing the Forex lion. What's that all about? Look, if the lion is the ultimate predator, then why would you want to chase it? And why am I equating the Forex market to that lion? There's a lovely African proverb that goes like this, and I'll put it up on the screen for you. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. And every morning a lion wakes up. It knows that it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. It doesn't matter whether you're a lion or a gazelle. When the sun comes up, you'd better be running. When you first consider the Forex market as a viable vehicle for you either replacing your day job income or for wealth growth opportunity, or if you're already involved in that market and looking to increase your skills so that you can achieve the goals that you set out for yourself for the reason that you're trading, whether that's an extra $10,000 a year or whether you're trying to make a couple of $100,000 a year, you have to consider that this market is like all markets. It's a battlefield. And you don't want to step on that battlefield if you don't know how to fight. You don't want to chase the Forex lion, because what are you going to do when you catch it? All of a sudden then, the hunted becomes the hunter. You think you're going to be a bigger dog in that fight? We're not. We're not the ultimate predator. The market itself is, and that market is 85% controlled from a dollar standpoint. That's $6.6 trillion in 2020. Was the statistic? It's 2021 right now, actually mid-December 2021. 85% of the Forex market is controlled by the large institutional traders and investors. Hedge funds, banks, trading houses, or retail traders, that's us. We're only 15% of that market. Now, of that 15%, probably 90% are beginner traders or hobby traders in that $3,000 to $10,000 investment level. That's the amount of money that they're coming up with. And I'm not even counting the people with $500 or that's just silly. Any battle has certain rules. You know, and you could refute that, but look, I've spent over 50 years since 1968 in the martial arts talking about fighting and self-defense, and there are no rules. But there are rules. If someone displays a certain characteristic, they really are looking for an excuse to pop you. They're not looking to just intimidate you. They're looking to carry it all the way through. And if you don't recognize that, you're going to get hit. So a rule is to understand that aspect of the conflict. And even as large as any war or battle is, it still has those rules. Not rules of conduct, but rules of fighting. What's efficient and what's not efficient. You can go out on the savannas of Africa and in your your LL Bean shorts and your friggin' bush hat you bought with your little pop gun, and you can think you're out hunting a lion. But boy, if you don't know the rules of that game, you're done. Yeah, you know that. But why don't we understand that when we go into the Forex market? Because you get somebody out there saying, oh, try it, put in there $50 to $250, and we'll teach you how to do this. You can come to my signals group, but you're not learning anything. And you take that $500 and it goes away, and so you reload the $500 and it goes away, and you keep reloading at $200 and $500, and you're not learning anything. Einstein said that it's an idiot that continues to do the same thing but expects a different result. My martial arts master taught us, as I've said many times in these videos, that the only way we can become who we'd like to become is to alter the way that we think, because we're a product of the way that we think, and thoughts are things. It doesn't do any good to get up in the morning and look in the mirror and growl and say, I'm the predator. I'm going to hit this market. That doesn't do any good. That's a lot of rah-rah shit. When you sit down at the trading platform and play bid-ask for a couple hours, you're in the middle of it. You better know what you're doing. Is trading Forex complicated? Yes, it is. Is it difficult? Yes, it is. It's one of the most complex and difficult things that you could possibly ever conceive of doing. And so why would you think that you could buy a book or pay a couple of $100 for a course and, oh, I got it. I read what a trading plan is somewhere and said, I'm going to write my trading plan and I know what I'm supposed to do. It doesn't work that way. You can't go to college and say, well, I'm going to be a mathematician and I'm going to take Algebra 1 and, man, I got it. I got it knocked. You don't have shit. You've heard me say many times that trading is simple. Trading is simple. It's the market that's complex. It's the market that's difficult. And it's we and our perception of that market and of ourselves that create the complexity and the angst and the difficulty and the weeping and gnashing of teeth that causes us to incorrectly intermix hope, fear, and greed. Because although we're chasing the lion, we're doing it the wrong way. You have to look at the objective of what you're trying to do in your trading. And you can't just spout and say, oh, I want to make $300,000 a year. Well, what base do you have to understand what that really represents? Are you currently making $300,000 a year? Did your father make $300,000 a year? Do you have any concept of how difficult it is and how much education you need in order to make $300,000 a year? As an attorney or as an accountant partner in an accounting firm, as a restaurateur, a successful larger business, an e-commerce business that you've worked very hard to put the pieces together and invested quite a bit of money in order to do that, not listen to some fool say, hey, listen to me, I got 5 easy steps you do and you just buy my program and you get this thing set up and boom, you've got an e-commerce business. But it doesn't work that way. Our Forex market provides, from what I think, is the most viable method of income enhancement or adding to your net worth, not so that you can buy a stupid Lamborghini, because you won't be interested in a Lamborghini when you're 60 years old. Before you go into any kind of purchase or you want to do an investment, you have to do some analysis on it. You have to be reasonable about what your expectations are, what you're going to do with whatever it is that you're thinking of buying or investing in, and how you're going to manage and mitigate the risks that are there. Well, first of all, you have to know what those risks are. What happens in a worst case scenario? Are you willing to take, even though you might have the runway to survive a wash situation, a crisis, economic crisis, do you really want to go through that? the predator, the market, was not going to get me. It wasn't going to see me. How do you, as someone going into foreign currency trading, or someone who's already in there, crashing around through the woods, looking for the thing that's looking for him, for you? How do you look realistically at this thing so you don't get eaten up? Look, as I've said in so many of my videos, as I'm on 160 of them now, even if you're experienced and you've been in this for a while, which is the people that I'm most able to help, as opposed to the raw beginner who just thinks they're just fucking gonna light the world on fire and it's just really easy and stupid. They're the same ones that are gonna take out a 90% mortgage that's $150,000 or $200,000 more than what they should be carrying. I don't have the patience to deal with that. Don't call me for help. But the person who is involved and has had a live account but not getting the success that they should, don't judge that lack of success based on the guy that's on the videos who's driving a Lamborghini, because that's way out at the fat tail end of the bell curve. That's called marketing. That's not called success. A Lamborghini or a McLaren or something like that, even to get a low end one of those, is going to cost you $180,000. $225 right now at 2021. That's a lot of cash. What are you going to do? You going to put $100,000 down and carry a $100,000 note on that car? Well, that's fine, but you're not going to want to do that unless you've got a $3 to $5 million net worth. And even then, you might be pushing it with a McLaren or a Lambo at $200,000. Because if you're worth $3 or $4 or $5 million, you're not living in a $200,000 house because you're trying to impress somebody. You're living in a $700,000 or $1.5 million place. I mean, in these markets. I mean, you could be in. I'm in New England, right? So look, I know real estate. Okay, I understand that. So that condo, for example, that I was talking about that I owned before, that was a couple of $100,000. You take that same condo and stick it in San Francisco, it'd be $1.5 million. I understand things are relative, and you do too. Well, we just got to look at the baseline of what's reasonable. If you're working in Silicon Valley and you're making $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year, and your partner is making $100,000 a year, you're $400,000, $500,000 a year of income, and you were kind of frugal and saved your money, and you've got $1 million in the bank, and you think your jobs are going to go on forever. Well, yeah, maybe you buy a fancy car. Maybe you buy a little Jaguar or something like that. You really want to buy a Lambo with $3 million net worth in San Francisco? So just because you see some trader that traded on 500 to 1 leverage and took a $10,000 account and jacked it out to 6 figures doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do that. Because that excess leverage that they're going to try to get you to do, that's the predator that's going to get you. I'll guarantee you, 97% of you that are going to try with a high leverage are going to fail. And in fact, even if you don't do that, the stats are 90% against you. 90% of traders lose 90% of their money in 90 days. Now, some of those are reloads, and they're going to do it again 90 days. But it's not a good percentage. Why is that? It's because you have the predator prey roles reversed. You think you're the predator going into the Forex market, and the market is there for the taking. It's not that way. It's not that way. If you want to chase the Forex lion, you have to understand that you're the prey. And you have to understand then what measures you need to take going into that market that will give you survival, because that's what you really need to do. And that's the principles of how I teach. When I work with somebody, I work on principles. You know, I've got foundations that I will present first, and then principle-based trading second, and then process-oriented trading. Process-oriented is a term from my 33 years as a senior software engineer developing complex internet-based business applications, enterprise-level business applications. There's a process orientation to it. You can't get very much more complex than writing business applications for internet use. It's really complicated. So you have to have a process. If you're going to hunt the FOREX lion, that's a really complicated thing. And if you have a really, really good process, you can win. There were hunters in Africa that would go out and hunt lions, and it would hunt wild boar, and it would hunt tigers, and they would be successful. They didn't just go running out into the woods and go, and take their spear. And you have to be, well, I was going to say process-oriented, but you have to be reasonable in your expectation of what you're going to be able to do. Oh, I'm going to go out hunting today, Betty, and I'm going to get me 3 lions, and I'll bring them back. No, you're not. You're going to go out and you're going to tromp around for 4 or 5 days. You know, the lion will track the herd that he's following. He may do that for days. And he's looking for the weakest one. And then he'll go in and go for the kill. He just doesn't come in, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of whatever gazelles, and after him he goes. He loads the deck in his favor. And because he's an expert at that, and he doesn't invert hope, fear, and greed, his probability of success is a lot better than the gazelle if there's a standoff between the two of them. And so as FOREX retail traders, we have to put ourselves into that mindset that we are not the predator. We're the prey, going after the predator. Chasing the FOREX lion. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day and have a great trading day.